Holy crap, Dad, Susan shouted as she paced her father's living room. Why? She stared at him as he sat in his reclining chair, idly holding his whiskey glass. No, I know why. You weren't thinking about anyone but your damn self. Susan ran her hand into her hair. I approved of it. It's my fault, too. But I didn't think you would jeopardize the Clouder like this. I mean, yeah, you're old. Go explore, do science. But to destroy the rift? Why, Dad? Sam took a slow sip, watching her. It's been killing for millions of years. It didn't even realize it either. Susan shook her head. No, Dad, it was a stable, highly energetic spatial anomaly that she moved her hands in a circle around herself. We, all of us, the whole Clouder, learned to harness and use to build a civilization. You helped make a civilization here with other species. Everything you've worked hard to piece together, your whole damn life, and you vaporized it. She pointed at him. Damn it, Dad. We know how it worked. People weren't dying anymore. Now though, people are stranded, cast out all over the rim. Peoples of all sorts are freezing to death out in the void thanks to you. Sam looked down into his drink. I'll be honest. I didn't even think of that when I agreed. Exactly, Dad. You have to talk about things. You can't just decide the fate of everyone with interdimensional AI and not think about it. He shrugged. Orbit was with me. He thought it was a good idea, too. Susan looked around the room. Orbit, you fall into that interdimensional AI category, too. This is a huge fuck-up. A purple holographic boy appeared on a stool across the room. The fleet is mobilized already. Peoples are being rescued as we speak. It's going to work out, Susan. Susan shook her head. No, this is a tragedy. People are dead because of this. A ship of SFP, Dad. They crashed into a moon, Dad. 1 second they were on course to a new colony, a new home, a new farming outpost, and boom. My dad decides to turn off the light switch. And now they are careening into a frozen moon. You two have no idea what this is going to do. You just did it. Sam nodded. We'll see what everyone has to say. She grabbed the bottle of whiskey and threw it across the room. Damn it, Dad. I know what they are going to say. The scribblers are already fielding thousands of filed suits. Criminal charges are going to be brought up. Don't you get it? You could be going out to Kaworu pretty soon. Sam stared at her. No. He pointed with the glass. The Infinigan have been pulling derelicts out of the rift for decades. Creatures we still have no clue to where they came from. Ripped apart in that storm. That thing, and the interference the Aralang has caused had to end. You know it. They know it. It had to stop, and I stopped it. Susan rubbed her jaw. No, Dad. You had a sit-down with computer. You turned off industry. You killed our freight lines. He shook his head. New engines are being built and fitted into the fleet as we speak. In a few months it will be just like it was. She glared at him. Yeah, in a few months. The election is in 30 cycles, Dad. My election. My rerunning and my father put me into crises. He laughed. Maybe I gave you a crisis to be a savior figure in. Spin it, make it yours. This is a positive. He took a sip. Embrace it. She stormed toward the door. This is a tragedy, Dad. You're going to end up in shit over this. She stepped out and slammed it. Sam looked over at Orbit. I am sad about the starfish peoples. They've always been good to me. Orbit flickered across the room to the chair opposite him. You're lucky you moved most your funds into trusts for your kids. Most of what you have left is going to be gone in those lawsuits soon. He nodded. It's just money. We can always make more. She's right, though. This is going to turn a lot of people against you. Family members were lost over this. Sam forced a breath out through his nose. You think it will be worth it? Orbit nodded. I do. But you need to get out there and start getting others to think it was too. Sam sat still for a moment, finishing his glass. Eventually he got up and retrieved the unbroken bottle on the other side of the room. Sam didn't hear the commotion. He didn't hear Stubborn and her guard torch through his front door. He merely drooled as she dragged him out of the room by his neck. It wasn't until she exited out the lift with 4 guards in tow that he started to move. Sam felt the inner fingers of her claw holding him by the muscle covering his spine. He looked out over the habitat lobby. 3 Infinigan custodians were stopped and staring. Stubborn flashed colors at them and they scurried out of the way. She continued across the lobby, Sam's feet dragging on the floor. The doors to the outer concourse opened and a cacophony of noise flooded Sam's ears. He groaned at it. Stubborn! Drop him! The comm speakers blared. Sam looked out and saw a large crowd, packed body to body, all watching from behind a security tape. The clack of 100 fraggers loading caused the crowd to move slightly back. Stubborn pointed out with her free claw, flashing bright reds and purples in quick succession. The speakers across the security forces translated. This muck spawn killed my daughters. He is mine! A large Kratok officer stepped forward from the line. We are aware of the situations. You are not alone. The Senate will be having a hearing in 2 cycles to address it. Do not do this. Please let him go. Let him get away with murder? What, I should just forget my children? Or should I take his? Maybe his daughters for the lives of mine? Sam reached up and patted her arm. I didn't know. I'm sorry, Stubborn. I didn't know. She looked down at him and grabbed his jaw in her free claw. My daughters are gone. Void lost. 3 young queens, 3 colonies, 3 new worlds gone because of you. Sam's head was already spinning, but that hit him hard and he started crying. I didn't mean to. I was trying to help. The Craddock officer raised up 2 large rifles and aimed them at Stubborn. Last chance, Stubborn. Put him down now. She stared at Sam, and then looked at the officer. She then looked at her guardsman, and slowly lowered Sam onto the ground. She lifted up her split claws and surrendered. The 5 were quickly subdued and taken away. An emergency service preserver rushed over and began scanning Sam. Oh wow, you need an IV quick. She poisoned you? The purple and blue preserver paused. Oh no, you have a record of massive alcohol intake on file. This is self-imposed, I take it? Sam sat up nodding. I didn't mean for this. The preserver waved over a couple air. Get him to the hospital. They're going to want to get him cleaned up and ready. The 2 air bowed. Taking him now. Sam stood up as they lifted him and walked over to the medical vehicle. He looked at them and nodded. Thank you. One of the air looked at him with its blank face. Don't thank us, this is our job. It guarded his head as it moved him inside. Sam laid on the medical exam table, watching the guards walk past the door. Eventually a tube floated in, accompanied by a large white-horned churi. The smell of Twain looked over Sam. Do not worry so much, Sam Clemens. It will be okay. It spoke without moving. Sam shook his head. I was thinking it would, but I might have messed everything up. The Webbian in the tube spoke through its speaker. Oh, you did mess everything up, but it's a mess we can clean up. Sam lifted a hand towards them. That was what I was telling Susan, but I didn't know so many are dead out there. More lost than dead, the smell replied. We have over 100 merchant vessels already repurposed and checking life buoys across the rim. Survivors are pouring into ports across the Clouder. Sam looked down at his legs. Stubborn lost her daughters because of me. I don't know what I would do. I'd never even consider it, thinking my kids could be hurt. Stubborn lost her daughters. They are not confirmed dead yet. They may still be adrift out there. And even so, you put an end to an era of a massive, dangerous spatial anomaly. There's probably humans scattered across several galaxies. Probably thousands lost between. The Webbian floated closer to Sam. Were you solely in control of the rift storm? Sam looked up and shook his head. Was the entity known as the Aralang the source of the rift storm? Sam nodded. Yeah. Are you controlling the Aralang? Sam shook his head. The Webbian crawled across the tube and looked at the smell of Twain. I think we can get him cleared. The scribblers can't convict him, but rather can try the Aralang. Given it is an interdimensional entity, it can't be considered to be in our jurisdiction. I think Salmon avoid judgment in this quite easily. The smell looked into the tube. Guafa. Escaping judgment does not equate justice. We may be able to shift blame, but the people will need a form of social easement. Guafa darted around the tube, quickly thinking, we will have to discuss with the other members. Sam looked at the 2. I was telling Susan something similar. It can be spun. Of course it can be spun, Sam. The member factions of the Great Arm are already working on it. We owe you for what you did. The Eye of Aralang is already proving invaluable. The data it is putting through has proved several wobbler hypotheses. You do not need to worry about this. Sam nodded for a moment. I don't, but I do. I caused this, and I will put everything I have let toward fixing it. Guafa floated next to Sam's head. No, we are taking care of it. You lay there, rest, and get ready to make your presentation. We will slow broadcast it, but we have to get it out there. The Clouder needs to hear what you are planning. Sam shrugged. It's just more ships, nothing spectacular. They're still going to be mad. The large white serpent quickly moved around his bedside, stopping to stare him in the eye. Quit downplaying, Sam. I have looked over the designs in the proposal. This can change everything for all of us here in the Clouder. Yes, we have to get past this disaster that was partially caused by you. But once past it, those now hating you will praise you. Sam nodded. I was thinking so too, but I don't know. Guafa hovered toward the door. The first hole gate is under construction already. Your brother is already working on it. Sparrow and Twain should be reconnected within a few weeks. He will work on connecting to the Margot shortly after, and other worlds will follow suit. With both rift engines and these new gates, we won't miss the storm. It will be more stable, and we can control direction. We will be in control. Good. That is good, I guess, Sam said. The Churi moved away as well, pausing for a moment while still staring. Get some rest, Sam. There are lots of us moving and guarding your backside. Just be ready to tell them. Sam nodded. I'll be ready. The 2 exited out the door. The 2 in Finnegan Guard looked inside, making eye contact. They bobbed their ears at Sam and went back to looking up and down the hall. Shineless held the young in Finnegan on her lap. She fed it French fries as she looked out over the field. One of her Kratiks was up to the plate. A young human female swung up and launched the ball toward the gray-skinned youngling. Shineless kept quiet in anticipation as the wooden slugger impacted the plasticite sphere. "Yes," she shouted, watching it sail up across the field. The baby on her lap fidgeted and nipped at her hand. She unconsciously slapped its mouth away, still staring at the soaring ball. One of her Zumi boys was Gaul's designated runners. Tachin the Zumi darted towards the outer base. "Hurry, Tachin! You got this! They're not going to catch it!" A human boy missed the ball as predicted, diving toward it and quickly grabbing it. He readied up and launched the ball back toward the bases. Tachin saw it coming and kept his place on second. "Good hit! Good hit!" Shineless didn't even realize she was standing up when she looked at all the other parents staring at her with their various eye forms. She smiled at them. "Those are my kids." She smoothed her dress and sat back down, still holding the Infinigan child. She was about to cheer again when her comm chimed. Shineless tapped a wristband to take the call. "Hey, what's up?" "Just getting ready for the meeting later." "How's the ball game?" Dam asked. "Gaul just hit a double. Tachin ran it for him. He's getting really quick." "How's Tachin doing staying on base?" Shineless looked over at her adopted boy. "He's spinning onto the plate just like you showed him." She laughed. "It's pissing of the kid guarding him." Dam mirrored her laugh. "That's good. They gotta learn." Shineless could hear the tension in his voice. "You worried?" "Yeah, everyone is in crisis mode. I think I know how it's going to go, but there are several that could go either way." Shineless watched the next batter crack the ball out to left field. She was about to get up and shout, but the outfielder caught it. "Damn. Second out." She focused back on Dam. "They have to side with us. Getting that gate up and running would be huge. Everyone would profit. That's not the hard point." Dam sighed. "Several of the house leaders are wanting to consider a different out point." "They don't want to connect to Twain?" she asked. "The Margot have made a lot of us rich out here, us too. Yellowclaw wants the pairing to go there." She shook her head, moving the Infinigan's mouth away from her hand again. "Screw him. We are members of the Clouder. We have to help get it networked back together." "We are." "I am. The Margot could have joined at any time, and they still maintain their independence. I don't see any way that could happen." "Good. Keep it that way." "Shut down that nonsense." She watched as the next batter clocked the sphere down the middle of the field, bouncing. "Yes!" She stood up. "They got a grounder. Tachin is running in." Dam laughed. "Nice. We gotta run!" She sat back down, sighing. "You think Sam is going to be all right?" "I think so. Erebus showed me the proposal from the Aralang. I like the idea and plan on backing him." She shifted to her other hip. "What about the charges?" "Something's going to stick." Dam sighed as well. "Who knows? I don't think he knew it was going to happen like it did. Erebus even showed me how they were going to coordinate the dropping of the storm." "You think something happened?" "Who knows? Your stupid brother. Jumping into shit. I mean shit. I figured he would probably die doing it, but this, I didn't think that thing would be real." "I didn't doubt him, and I don't blame him. And you know he's not just a brother. Looks old enough to be your father last I saw him." Shineless replied. "Yeah, maybe he'll reconsider the telomere therapy." Dam muttered something off comm. "Hey, honey, some of the council members are showing up. I gotta go. Love you. I'll send you a copy of the game when it's over." "Thank you. Love you too." Dam got up and walked across the room. A large, multi-legged UNT slowly crept across to meet him. With it, 3 hagfish and a dalaki kept in step. "You are early. The meeting isn't for another hour." The UNT paused in front of him. One of the hagfish coiled a tentacle over its robe, adjusting it properly on the center of its back. It looked up at him, slowly raising its torso up. It looked over to the large viewing window on the side of the room. Dam had a camera zoomed in on the gate orb construction. The UNT clicked its mandibles together. "You are going to be the first operational. We are impressed with your industry here. We always have been." "Yes, it is the pride of Sparrow. We have raised up large colonies of Kawaru and Infinigan here. Very industrious people." The UNT looked over at Dam. "And your Erebus." It leaned forward, pointing at him with its mandibles. "And you?" "Yep, that's what we do." "What did you want, Thought?" Dam asked. "We relied on the storm. Our freighters are now useless. To upgrade them will cost fortunes upon fortunes. Most will need be sold to buy new or upgrade the few. Our worlds are dependent on one another, and without that trade they will wither. Your brother has dealt us a blow, but we understand. It was not targeted, but we still must find a way to survive this. We need in on the deal." Dam walked over to the viewing window, watching the worker ships installing the struts on the massive orb. Its construction would allow for a large point in space to overlay via a forced rift with another spot in space, creating the telltale rift current between them. That spot inside the cage would be the future lifeline to Twain. He scrolled the viewer, zooming out and highlighting the construction of 4 more gate orbs. "The meeting is in an hour. You will be included in the deal. Please, just go and wait." The thought looked over at the Dalaki. The Dalaki shifted on its feet as a glow swept over its skin. It then looked back at Dam. The Galak will attack soon, the UNT said. Their ships are enslaved Gree, highly mobile, large rift engines. The Clouder is at risk from the rogue horde. Dam turned and looked back at the thought of Sparrow, remembering the numerous times it had barged in on him, insisting on being the whisper in his ears. Sending your goons in to attack us again? We have the Hummer guns. We have Galak willing to fight and defend the Clouder. They are more a part of us than they are against us. We don't have to worry about them anymore. The UNT shifted, creeping closer. The Gorgons of the Ashera, daughters of Curator, you can use them. You have many here. They help build, help secure, and you can use them. Dam sighed. Use them for what? We know where the Galak fleets are. We know what colonies they are discussing to hit. It pointed at the gate orb on the viewer. Make one of those gates go to the UNT. Hardline us into your network. We will give you that information. We will give up the Galak, and you will have an influx of powerful free Gree to aid in the Clouder. It chittered a bit. The Gree will be thankful. Dam nodded. I will think on that. That is good information to know. Dam waved toward the door. Leave me be now. I need to prepare for the meeting. The UNT looked at its allies, and then turned around toward the door. Dam waited until the party had left the room before changing the view screen. The camera feed changed to a set of 16 images overlooking the production line on Erebus's nearby moon. Erebus, what do you think? The AI appeared next to him, standing a foot away. I think even with our production and these few gates, people will still be cut off for some time. Right now, trade is at a standstill. Everyone is still rushing around rescuing and fighting off opportunists. We need more ships, and my production lines aren't going to be enough. Dam looked down at his feet. It could all fall apart. It could. There are numerous factions forming. Feudal empires of old. Erebus nodded. Without a central power, it is splintering. A show of force may help unify the outlying worlds, give them hope. The ships and their morale boost would be of great benefit. Dam sighed. God damn it, Sam. Why the fuck is he like this? Erebus looked over at him. He is as he always has been, and I'm always cleaning up. Dam walked across the black-tiled floor toward his desk. He's not my brother. I'm his clone. I was made, and the reason wasn't to clean his shit all the time. Erebus flashed over beside him. Are you, though? You and Shineless have a good life here. An empire of your own carved fully outside of his. You have thrived. Dam looked at him. In his shadow. All the work I've put in. All the deals, long hours and sleepless nights while he just dicks around having everything fall into his lap. What does he do with it? Dam raised his right hand up, yelling. He fucking throws it all away, jumping into a suicide storm. He was fully ready to die in that. He doesn't care. He fucking doesn't care about anyone. Erebus shook his head. You know that isn't true. Dam sat on the edge of his desk. No, it is. I know what he's been through, and I've overcome it. I overcome it. He quits. He shook his head. He's a quitter and doesn't deserve to be in charge. Erebus laughed. Good, because he hasn't been in charge for a long time, Dam. Not a president maybe, but his empire of Twain has been... I heard the call. You said you supported him. Dam stood up again. I do support him. I fully back the Clouder, but he's letting himself go too much. He needs me supporting him far more than I am. Erebus looked back at the viewer. What are you thinking? I'm thinking we pull all our favors. We are going to make a play. Dam stepped into the conference room. He walked past the statues representing the various allied species of the Clouder, and reached his seat in front of the human statue that looked quite like himself. He looked around the room, an avatar of Ashera, the thought of Sparrow, the 7 Margot factory lords of the system, one of the Goadur, Crunchcheek representing the regional gamers, Grendel of the Craddock security forces, and Asterian's son Bod had arrived. Dam motioned everyone to sit down. He took his seat as well. Thank you all for coming. He looked around the room. We all know why we are here. He paused. I want to dispel any rumors. Sam did go through the storm. He did meet the fabled Aralang. He did not kill the storm. He paused again. The Aralang manufactured that storm, and it on its own volition ceased its production. It was what stopped it. Dam looked around the room as several contemplated that. As much as this has hindered our worlds, we are here because it has provided us opportunity. Dam touched his wrist controls. A hologram depicting the gate spheres under construction near the large stellar body appeared. Sparrow is set to be the first in a series of gate nodes leading to the heart of the Clouder. You here are set to be the leaders of the first worlds linked to this new trade route. We will be the first, and set to profit from it. Further gates will be extended from your worlds, increasing trade and our accounts. A few murmurs of consent went around the table. Dam noted everyone seemed happy. Deal are going to need signed. Percentages are going to need hashed out. I have Erebus on standby ready with my offers. You are free to haggle, but I do have my limits. I chose each of you to be here because of our long work histories and your willingness to make agreeable deals with me. I hope each of you continue this trend." Dam looked around again. There are always others wanting a piece of our business. Dam watched as many started looking over their own viewers, reading clauses. The far door opened, and he looked up to see the intruder. 2 Kratic guards stepped aside as a tall female android walked in on a dozen spindly legs. A cami drone smiled at Dam. "Sorry, am I late?" Dam's eyes widened, and he slowly got to his feet. "Cammy, hello. I didn't expect you." "What, when?" She walked briskly behind several of the guild members and stood in front of Dam. "Oh, I came on one of the Gorgon frigates. Did Ashera not inform you?" Cammy looked over at the Gorgon, and it looked down. Dam shook his head as he extended his hand. "No, they did not, but it is a pleasant surprise. Please join us." Cammy looked around and then strutted over to a nearby Margot. She stared down at the legless smoke breather. "It is customary for a gentleman to offer his seat to a lady." The Margot looked up at her towering frame. It choked on a bit of smoke, and then reached down with its hands moving from the seat. "Please take mine." Cammy smiled and extended her legs around the chair and lowered herself in. She looked over at Dam as he sat back down. "Please don't let me interrupt. Continue." Dam stared at her. "Cammy, what are you wanting?" She met his stare and winked. "Same thing I've always wanted. I need to take care of my people." Dam shook his head. "What?" She looked around the table. "You have met with another cataclysm. Your means of quick travel is broken. Worlds once knit together have frayed apart. You need my help, and I am here to offer it." Dam kept shaking his head. "No. Nope. I'm not doing it. I'm not Sam. You may have free reign running around Twain, but not here, not in my home." Eyes turned up at him, and several of the council members started getting nervous. Dam clenched a fist, shutting his eyes. "Cammy, we will be okay. Your assistance isn't needed." "Oh, but it is, Dam. You need what I have to offer, so hear me out." Dam punched toward the table, stopping short from impact. "No, this is my boardroom. This is my station. This is my world. You are not going to barge in here telling me what I need to do." He opened his eyes, glaring at the android. "We've come too far to be enslaved by you again, so you might as well give up." She laughed at him, her audio track forced. "You have me wrong, Dam. You are blinded by one of my many actions." She looked around at everyone, moving her hands as she talked. "You see, as you all must know, humans are a chaotic species." She looked back over at Dam. "You're drawn to it. You crave it. You're violent. You're cruel. And your greed is limitless." She shifted in her seat. "Yet you crave peace. You want compassion. And you have to help the less fortunate. Humanity is a conundrum. That is why humans made me. That is why my daughters and I exist. I am here doing as I have always done, trying to help humanity survive." The UNT looked over at its Dalaki comrade, and then at Dam. "I say we hear her out. She seems to know humanity as we do." Dam looked around the table, everyone agreeing. He nodded as well. "All right, Cammy, let's hear how you want to help." She raised her hands and 2 beams of light shot out, creating a hologram over the table. She looked around at everyone with a large grin. "The Rift Rivers as they were," she said, highlighting the holographic presentation. "My daughters and I realized them for what they were long ago. We were wary of what was on the other side and still are." She shifted the hologram. "Every predictive algorithm I ran came to a single conclusion, and that was that one day the rift would power down. I planned as best I could, guided humanity away from the rivers as best I could, and yet here we are. My humans are scattered across the known universe, cut off and isolated." She kept smiling. "What was a girl to do?" Dam sighed. She waved her hand, causing the hologram to shift. The rift disappeared and numerous dots appeared across the galaxies. My daughters and I mapped out key points, large stellar bodies, quasars, things of great energetic capabilities, and we may have developed our own gates. We made them and waited. Dam stared. "You have a network of orb gates and you haven't been using them?" She laughed again, using the same audio track. "Of course not. They overlaid the rift rivers. They would have been burnt out and locked in." She shook her head a bit. "No, we made them for when the rivers went dry. We made them for you for now." Bod shifted a bit, growling. These could be linked, go both ways, right?" Cammy smiled over at the young tar. "Of course." Bod looked over at Dam. "There's hundreds of them. How many worlds are in range of them?" Cammy laughed again. 13,412. Resources enough to fuel humanity for thousands of years. Room to grow. Dam looked over the map. "You're just going to open these gates? Link right up to us?" She nodded. "What price do we have to pay for that?" Dam asked. She straightened herself, her face stoic. "I mean what I said. I have always been here to help. Present this with me to Sam." She looked around the table. "We need to be a unified front with this, and we need to be there to hear out his proposal." Dam looked over at Bod, then over at Crunchcheek. He went around the table meeting everyone's eyes in turn. He looked back at Cammy. It's too much of a risk. You're trying to subvert us. Take over what we have built here. She leaned back, crossing her arms and raising several of her pointed feet up toward the table. I don't care what you have built here, damn. This world is insignificant, small. A speck of industry compared to myself. Don't you see that? Don't you know what I am? I am your rogue mother. The rogue mother. She stood up abruptly. I came here bearing the fruits of centuries of labor to you, and you throw it back at me thinking it poisoned. Fool boy! She flipped back to calm, smiling again. Yes, you were right to be defensive. This is your home, but you need to see the good in this offer. Dam leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. He pointed at her. Keep saying it, I don't care. I don't trust you, Cammy. I never have. I'm not some dupe. I'll scrap your body if you come anywhere near this system, don't you doubt me? She looked down at the floor, her pointed legs clicking the tiles. You were always going to implode. Humans can't help but war. They group up and fight. It's cooked into your DNA. She rearranged her face back to a smile and met his gaze. But you have other things baked in as well. Your ability to rise up, your love of exploration, your bonding capabilities, these things can redeem you. I have been hoping they would redeem you, save you. You figured we would annihilate ourselves? You saying that is why you did all you did? She nodded. You did annihilate yourselves. The Hue. Worlds are going through a dark age right now. People are struggling in the ruins. He sighed. One of the Margot raised itself up to look at her. You would really offer up such a gift to us as these gate points? She smiled at the dark-skinned creature. Of course. I need your little coalition's help to keep them secure and provide trade and services to the worlds. The UNT clacked its mandibles. All this and you don't seek anything in return? She looked back over at Dam. No, I do want something, and if we do this right, I'm going to get it. I'll ask again, Cammy. What do you want from us? Dam asked. And I'll say it again, Dam. I want you, this Clouder, all of you to prosper. She looked around again. Do this with me. Dam leaned back in his chair, rocking slightly. He met eyes again with the peoples at his table. Then he nodded.